This is the ShopRenter's video tutorial, and this tutorial I'm going to show you how to manage your products in batch, where you can use the ShopRenter's built-in export and import function to handle all products in one single file, or import and export all the necessary datas and modify and import them. The ShopRenter's built-in export and import functions are very flexible, so you don't have to make a very large and very bulky and heavy files to export and import if you don't have to. So you only have to export the necessary datas, and you can get every help for that. If you want to manage your products and want to upload into the system, you have two choices. First, you have to do the slow way. Open the catalog by products and upload the products one by one. But if you have only a couple thousand products, this takes literally days or weeks, so it's not effective. If you want to, you have the chance to upload all these products in one click or several clicks. This requires a pre-filled XLS, an Excel table which contains all product data, but if that product data's field Excel is present, then you will have no lot of work with them. So if you want to export all your products in the ShopRenter web store, you have to go to the catalog, export, import, export product information to XLS. We create the system for flexibility because we are aware that a lot of users who use the ShopRenter wants to export only a few datas to maintain their shop and their products. Others need the full list. To get good to both group, we made a flexible system which allows you to choose almost everything. First, you have to choose the file format. It's XLS, the old 2003 Excel format, or you can choose the new Excel 2007 and after XLSX format. After that, you have to choose which datas and which products going to exported. First, you can filter all your datas. First, you can choose an empty export which holds no actual products, or can use a filter to filter the products list along the category, stock, images, status, and after that you can choose the product order, the sorting order in the export function. After that, you will see in this page all product data, so you can choose what product data can present in the export and which not. If you want to select all, then you will have to click here, the select all checkbox, which also checks every other checkbox, or you can choose one by one, checking the proper checkbox of the data which you can want to export to. This allows us to create a flexible file and table, and that means that the columns of the tables are not static, it's dynamic. Every column except the item number, or whatever we call in the products page SKU, is every table's fixed column. Everything else is just optional. Neither the order, neither everything else is not static. So if you want to create an export, I want to show you some interesting things about some columns which requires a little bit more information to handle properly. I think this is a very good export, so I click on the Start Export button, and after that I see a preview of the exported table. In here I almost 100% the same this image what as I'm going to see at the table and the Excel file. After that I click on the Start Export button if I find everything is good, and then I see my export is successful, and here I can download it if I want, or delete if I change my mind. The other export is still downloadable. The last 10-15 is remain on the system, and if I wanted to ever download an order which is good for me, I can still do that. If I click on the download link, the table is going to save into my computer, and after that I can open it. I did it earlier, and here is the results. This is the export table, and this is the products export datas. If we see this closer, we see that every column is a product data and every row is a single product. I choose these columns because every column has some specialty. The others, which I cannot show you now because I don't export it, is not so complex, so it's very simple. It has data on it and you have to go add it, and it's no problem. But this is the 7 column which requires, I think, a little bit more help. First of all, the item number, which we called SKU, is one of the most important column in the export and import functions. This is because this is the data which allows the web store to identify the products in the store. Because if we ever imported or exported a product, this is the data which identify for the system to grab a product and do anything with them. This means two things. First, if the item number is already present in the web store, that means that row and anything else, other columns data means that that product is already present in the system, but the other columns data is just update the now presenting data. If the item number is no presenting the system, it means there's no item number with that number in the system. That means those row presents a new product, and after that everything else is good. After that we see the category identifiers. The product is critical to show in the web store, and for that we have to link and bind some categories. And in an Excel table it's quite interesting thing, but we have to link in the Excel file the product into categories, and in the ShopRenter you have to add the categories identification number, which can see in the administration panel, the catalogs categories menu, and there is an ID column, and the ID columns holds the categories identification. This number have to write into their columns, and after that the identification number literally bonds the product into the category. If you want to link one product into more category, not just one, you have to divide the categories between this mark, so it's very simple and understandable. After that, the product image is also can added into the table. This is the only product data which cannot be totally adding and importing into the by Excel into the system, because this is requires standalone JPEG or anything, or PNG, or maybe a GIF image file. That file can be uploaded manually and one by one via the file manager or image manager, or can uploaded massively with the FTP. And to use the FTP you have to click the catalog, export, import and FTP request. This only just sending a letter asked to granted you an FTP username and password if you click this button. But with them you can also upload 2-3 clicks by proper FTP client software. And when you uploaded all the file, your job is only have to add every file name into the proper product. So after you upload all the files, all the images what you want to show in the products page, you only have to add the exact file name, which means that every character, every number, every letter have to be the same, which is case sensitive, so the upper and lower case letters are different, very different, not as the Windows but as like the Unix. If you want to determine the price, you can add float type numbers, which means you can add a very wide range of prices, and all of these are uploading to the products and give it to it. I think it's not a big thing. If I want to modify stock and stock 2, I can do it separately. So if I want to represent how many products in my store and in my second store, for example, I can do it not so problematic. And the last one, if I want to name the product, I can name it if I want. This is just only represents here because I want to say the product's name can be identical in different products, because the item number what is uniquely identify the products, not the name. So if you have a lot of products which has the unique name, which has the same name, you can add those same name into more products. After you doing this and everything is fine, you have to import it. And to do, please open the catalog, export, import, and import product information from XLS. This procedure is quite the same as the export, but in backwards. So you have datas and you have an XLS file which wants you to upload to the system and want to importing by the system. To do this, you have to click on the browse, and after you search for the proper XLS, you have to click the upload button. The system uploads the file and confirms you that this is the proper file. Click on the start transfer button, and then the system reading all the data which is containing in the tables. After that, you see this table. The properly exported and modified ShopRenter XLS file can be recognized by the system. Precisely can identify the columns. The system identify the columns, which allows you to get a view what type of data is going to be imported. In this header and identified shows that the XLS table first line, which contains the header and the column information, which text is stored there, and is the system identified that column? If yes, the system is getting know that the type of data where to be imported. Otherwise, you can every time choose if you think that is the wrong place. For example, if you switching the stock 1 and stock 2, you can anytime switch back if you want, or if you think the product price or product image is not the proper, and is still changeable if you want. After you think everything is fine and this function is present because we think it's better to be repair or see once more before you are importing than after, because after the import every changes is permanent. It cannot be reversed. So if you do that and thinks everything is fine, you have to click the start import, and last one you find another table which identically the same as the table in XLS, to be sure that this is the data what you want to import. And the last action is to still click on once the start button import, and this progress bar shows that the import is still continuing. After that, you see this import finished and how many lines are imported. After that, we getting back to the first page. If we want to do another import, we can do it here. One more important thing: if you exporting more than 1,000 products at the same time, the system divides the whole list into 1,000 products, 1,000 line length XLSs, and compress it into a single zip file. In those single zip file there can you find every x86, and every x86 holds maximum the 1000th product. It's not quite simple, but I think it's a very flexible system. I think it's a very good, usable and handling software. Use wisely. Goodbye.